Okay guys, so we're out on the range today, another hot windy day, and what I decided to do today was I just got my Tavor X95 back from IWI, and some of you may have heard, some of you may not have heard, some of you may not care, but supposedly there was accuracy issues with the X95, and I have to say when I first went out and shot this thing, it did appear to have some issues. I don't even think I could get it to group at 5 MOA. It threw flyers everywhere. It was just, no matter what I shot in it. So I decided, I'll send it back to IWI and see what they do. So they replaced the bolt and adjusted the head spacing, and they used a reamer on the crown. And so I came out today and shot, and let me show you real quick what ended up happening. So this first group here, these are probably going to be hard to see. I'll actually tell you what the rounds are and what the spread is, in case you don't get to see. So this is a Freedom Munitions 77 grain. This is a rather inexpensive, I think this is actually remanufactured ammo. At any rate, we got a 10-shot, all of these are going to be 10-shot groups, by the way. 10-shot group with extreme spread of 3.75 MOA, which, not too bad. Service accuracy there. You may see these tape marks here. What actually happened was when I fired the first 5-round group, I had a kill flash on my optic, which, by the way, I'm using a Primary Arms. This, I believe, is a 2.5 power with ACS reticle, I believe it's called. I don't think they make this one anymore, but at any rate, not much magnification, and it was kind of hard to see. The dot in it is 1 MOA, and it was just basically I'm trying to cover these orange dots with the dot, and if I see orange, I know I'm not on a dot. And with the kill flash, it was kind of hard to make that out. So I ended up taking off the kill flash. So initially I had fired my 5 rounds, and I had these other 5, and I actually just left those alone and went on. And then this is a HPR 75 grain. This is at 4.75 MOA. Now, one thing I'll note is I was still kind of working my way into the rifle, so to say, how to steady it best on the rest. This is my first time delving into the bullpup, so it is a little bit of a learning experience. As well as the trigger is, like most bullpups, is on the heavy side. It's not as bad as the Tavor. It's serviceable, but it is on the heavy side, and just kind of learning the trigger. So I kind of changed up technique just a little bit, got things a little steadier, and we just pressed on. So we'll come back to another grouping of the HPR, which we did after, because it didn't seem fair, because we did figure a better way to steady the rifle and whatnot. And we'll also come back to this Freedom Munitions group here in a second. So we moved on to the Gold Dot 75 grain, and we ended up with a 3.65. Some of you may see some corrections here, and that's because I was using just a regular tape measure and going from the where it starts. It was actually a little off because of how just how it was, so I ended up having to do some little corrections. Anyway, 3.65 MOA for 10 shots, Gold Dot 75 grain, which that's not too bad for what this rifle's intended for. We moved down, we fired off, we got the Federal Fusion MSR. We had 3.75 MOA on extreme spread. Unfortunately, some of the rounds, these actually hit to the left, so some of the rounds were a little off over here. But at any rate, 3.75. Our Gold Dot 64 grain came in right at 3.75 as well. And then we came back, actually, and fired 5 more rounds of the Freedom Munitions. What we did is we taped up the first 5 since that kill flash was kind of throwing us off. And we figured since, we got a little steadier hold, so we fired another 5 into our original 5-shot group that we did without the kill flash earlier, and we came up with 3.75. So not too bad. Most of these groups are fairly concentric too, overall, so that's good, because before the rifle was really, it was just all over the place, guys. It was pretty bad. So at any rate, that's not too bad. 3.75, again, that's, I think, remanufactured ammo. And then we said, well, you know what, since we've got a better way to hold the rifle, and we're getting a little more used to the trigger, we're getting consistent in the 3.7-ish range, let's come back and do the HPR again, which we did. And we ended up with a 3.5, fairly concentric group there, 3.5 MOA on the HPR. So all these rounds, I would say, consistency-wise, are fairly close together in quality. They're not match grade, even though the HPR and the Freedoms uses a match bullet. It's not match grade ammo. This is all mostly service grade ammo. Still fairly high quality though, above like Tula and whatnot, and maybe just regular military ball, which we'll see in just a second. So on average, we're hitting right at about 3.7 MOA. Like I said, we can kind of exclude this one. This is my fault. I was just still trying to get used to the trigger and getting it steady on the rest. And these first 5 here, like I said, the kill flash was making it hard for me to actually make out if I had was centered on the dot there. So, but pretty consistent. So 3.75, 3.65, 3.75, 3.75, and 3.5. So not too bad. That's within what I would intend on using a rifle like this for. So definitely a lot better than what it was before. But let's move on to maybe some of the cheaper ammo. So starting here, we have the Tula 75 grain. This is a hollow point. It's the first time I tried this ammo, and it gave us a 4.35 on the extreme spread. And actually, this one flyer here that kind of came out opened it up from what would have been just under 4 MO, or 3 MOA actually. It would have been right at about 3 MOA had it not been for that flyer. But it is what it is. It's cheap ammo, but that's not too bad for just inexpensive training ammo. Now on a note, this was the only ammunition, the 75 grain Tula, that I did experience one malfunction with. It didn't seem like it cycled the bolt fully, and this ammo does feel a little on the light side. In fact, if you notice, as the rounds get faster, they actually hit a little more to the left, like this gold dot group I was actually aiming in here. And they actually struck here. And that's almost exactly the same as the Fusion, which is the same weight, same velocity. And our 75 grain gold dot actually struck more in line with our 75 grain and 77 grain Freedom, which again, these are loaded to about the same velocity. I also did make a minor adjustment on the scope before I fired this group, and that's why it's also nice and centered. So actually this would have been over about in this area here. But at any rate, so this stuff hitting slightly to the right does tell me this is some pretty light loaded stuff, but nonetheless the accuracy was sufficient for training ammo. Actually not too bad for just training ammo. And I might use some of this stuff. I'll see if it gives me any more problems. It only had one malfunction. It wasn't that big of a deal. It just didn't cycle the bolt fully. Maybe it was just one off round. Who knows? It's cheap ammo. So anyway, moving up, we got the Tula 62 grain. This is just regular full metal jacket. This came in right at 5 MOA on extreme spread for 9 rounds, and then we had 1 round for some unknown reason that just crazy Ivan'd off on its own. Not sure what happened there. I guess that's just the nature of the beast when using some of this really inexpensive ammo. Maybe it was an undersized bullet or something that didn't fully engage the rifling as well. So we put 5 to 8.75. But honestly, I shot this some more after, and it looks like it hovers right in about the 5 for 10 shots. Like I said, this is more of an anomaly. So not terrible for really cheap ammo. It's about what you expect for real cheap ammo for a 10-shot group. And then our M855 came in right at 4 MOA on our M855 for 10 shots, which again, about what I would expect on military ball. So overall, I do think the work they did on the rifle definitely did sort things out. This puts the rifle into a service grade accuracy category. It's definitely not going to be as accurate as like a free floated AR or something, but it's a different type of rifle altogether, and has some different attributes. And also part of this too is probably me just learning the platform, how to steady it best, the trigger, getting used to that. It is on the heavy side. I want to say it breaks probably about 7-8 pounds. It's not a bad trigger, it's serviceable, but it's certainly not, for guys, if you're used to 3-4 pound crisp pulls on your AR or something like that, or this is definitely going to feel a bit on the weighty side. But at any rate, so overall, I think the work they did on the rifle seems to have brought the accuracy into a service grade category. Keep in mind too, we're just using a little 2.5 power scope, and it is fairly breezy out here today. So I'm sure on a better day, maybe with even more magnification and learning the rifle more, Mike could tighten these up a little more. But this is pretty much what I would expect for a service grade rifle. So overall, not too bad. And I'm going to be running this one some more here in the future. This is my first time, I said, delving into the bullpup, so there are some features about it that I find fairly unique. and interesting, and I want to see you know, what all the hype is about, if it's worth it, or where it'll fit into its niche role in comparison to the other platforms. So it's a little on the breezy side today, but we're still going to try to hit the plate range because I don't hear anyone over there right now. So we'll take some of this the Tula 75 grain. We made a minor adjustment on our scope to compensate for this, and we'll see if we can't get over on the plate range and shoot some of it, see if we can't ring some plates out at distance in the wind. Alright guys, we're out on the plate range. We're going to give this a try in the wind. It's a swirling wind. It's kind of changing directions here on me, and it's going to probably be a little difficult, but nonetheless, let's go ahead and give this a try. I'm going to start off at 200 meters or 220 yards. Okay, no problem, that distance. Let's go ahead and stretch it out to 300 meters, roughly 330 yards. Alright, we're having no problem keeping them on that. I'm not sure if you guys can hear if it's picking up on camera. The wind is kind of blowing from behind me, so it's actually carrying the sound into the distance. But I'm able to pick it up on my electronic ear pro. That, and of course, if you don't see dust on the back berm, there's a pretty good chance you got a hit. So let's go ahead and stretch it all the way out to it's 384 meters, I believe, 420 yards roughly. Oh, and if I didn't mention, this is with the Wolf 75, or Tula ammo. 75 grain hollow points. So these are fairly inexpensive, nothing fancy here, but they shot reasonably well. So and that was 2 hits, but unfortunately we just ran dry. I'll see if I have some more rounds. Alright, well, we got a few more rounds, so we'll try to ring that 420 yard plate a couple more times. Looks like the wind's changing direction on me, so we'll see what happens. Alright, well, we rung it a few more times. So as you can see, the X95 is, it's not, you know, it's not a free-floated AR accurate, at least not in my hands, but it's certainly acceptably accurate for the intended purpose. We're getting hits pretty good all the way out to 420 yards, so with just a 2.5 power optic on this. The wind is not terrible today, but it is shifting direction, so 1 minute I have to hold one side of the plate, and the next minute I have to hold the other side, and so that kind of can complicate things. But nonetheless, I plan on doing some more with this rifle. Like I said, this is my first time delving into the bullpup, so I think these kind of rifles do bring some interesting features to the table, so I do want to do some more work with it, and before I can give a full sort of opinion on it. But so far, it certainly has some features that seem like they're worth checking out. And as far as the accuracy issues, it certainly did appear it had some when I first got it, but it looks like IWI brought this back to, at least got it service accurate now to where it's a functional rifle in terms of actually being able to get some hits. So if you guys like this kind of stuff and you want to see more, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit the like button. And if you have any input on any of this, if you have any experience with this rifle as well, maybe you've had some issues, or maybe yours shoots great, or whatever the case might be, go ahead and comment down below. We'll see you guys next time.